Thank you, John. We're so glad to be with you guys here today. I'm Matthew Wood, Senior Director of FinTech. We're going to be touching on the borrower-centric digital experience. And my companion presenter today is?
Hey, my name is Brad Seibert. I head up the prop tech division here for Tavant, and we wanted to jump right into things. So as everyone knows, our world is changing, the times have changed. What we as an industry are focusing on a little bit, but could focus on more, is understanding that the home buying journey, still true to its core, is really focused on emotion. And so emotion is what really drives the home buying journey, but borrowers are driving the financing aspect of the journey. And we as an industry need to ensure that we're putting the borrowers at the center of everything we do. The vast majority of us are, but when we don't, when we put ourselves, the lenders, the tech companies at the center, we lose the borrowers in this whole journey. So that's just one of the key points we want to talk on here as we kind of move on. So as we're going through things, many of us, different aspects of the home buying journey, whether we as an industry, whether we own the connection, the coordination, the financing, the transaction, the platform, everyone started as a company in one specific niche. And everyone obviously is the dream of owning the whole attach rate, the full ecosystem. And so we expand out into these different aspects, owning the connection, going from a Zillow to a realtor, to owning the coordination, the financing as a UWN, as a lender of caliber. We expand out, expand back in. But what we really have to understand is however far we go down the journey, and however we go from the center to the right, from the center to the left, or end to end, we're simply a tool as lenders, as real estate companies, as digital technology companies to give the American home buyer the power, the tools they need to go through their own journey, because they own the experience and they own their journey. So we'll continue to move on through a little bit of this here. And as you can see, there's many players that own the connections, many own the coordination, many own the financing. Some of these I love, some of them I love less. We're all in this together as we really talk about it. But the key is, no matter what our specific angle is in the home buying ecosystem, we're all in this together, and we only have one customer, and that is the home buyer.
Absolutely. Hey, just one comment from my side, Brad and team. You know, when I look at this in our current context for the past 4 months, you know, one thing that we've kind of been brightly taught is that it's the borrower themselves, it's their experience. It's not something that we do to them. It's something that the borrower accepts from us in terms of the quality of the experience we're delivering to them. And in that sense, I think that dose of humility and that dose of empathy is very strong and strongly needed to shape the way we approach digital.
Yeah, I think one of the key points, think about the first car any of us bought. The car dealer was in control of the transaction. The dealer at the dealership controlled the whole transaction, what car he looked at, how the negotiations happened. The world's changed. You can buy a car without even talking to someone these days. There's no need for negotiations anymore. Now the car buyer is in control, and the same thing is happening in our home buying ecosystem. The home buyer is in control. So we as an industry, we're moving from really a platform-centric view to a borrower-centric view, because the borrower owns their own version of their American dream. Matt, off to you.
Absolutely, thank you. So building on that core thought is the borrower owns their own American dream, the home ownership dream of Americans in general. We're shifting from away from platform towards borrower centric. So what does that mean? If you look here on the left, the one that has the swooping arrow, that's kind of our thinking as it has been in the past years. It's very instrumental. We're moving from the way that we act upon the borrower, and maybe at some future date when we're very, very mature in terms of technology, we'll do some collaboration. The reality is that's not how the economy runs, especially in the past few months. We've seen brightly that the economy is founded upon our ability to understand and to enable and to empower our customers towards the outcome that they're looking for. The engagement that they're looking for each of us as members of the mortgage industry, whether Tavant as a provider and enabler of technologies, or from you as a loan officer or a broker or a mortgage firm, the kind of engagement that our borrowers are seeking from us is they're seeking understanding. They're seeking an engagement that helps them arrive at the outcome. they're actually less concerned about the transaction. Quite often, as firms, we get so focused on what to do, we forget how to do it. And so here's some quick tips that we've gleaned just in the past few weeks. How do you talk about these issues? How do you talk about the problems? How do you talk about the roadblocks that are typically standing in the way of a good mortgage? Well, in plain English, please, is the best way, in just plain spoken language, to make it accessible to the borrower and the borrower's family. So issues of credit become, can you pay it back? Issues of capacity is, what happens if something goes wrong, et cetera, et cetera. These are just very kind of natural language examples of how we can, in a better fashion and a more empathetic fashion, approach the borrower and help them achieve their outcomes they're looking for. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, this little triangle that mentions AI/ML. That's exactly what good AI/ML does with language, is it recognizes these natural language patterns and actually tries to reinforce them with whatever it's delivering back to the borrower, to the customer, be that a document, or be that words on a chat window, or be that recommendations from a model. It's all about the context of the borrower. So how do we engage throughout the journey? It's an easy thing to talk about the customer journey. I think most of us kind of know that language. We've picked it up along the way. We're talking digital. We want to sound cool. We talk about the customer journey. But really, what does it mean to engage? It means to favor dialogue first and then transact. There are some customers that just want that, super quick experience, and they want it to be a very minimal interaction. And that makes sense. But you won't know that until you interact with them, right? But then most borrowers just need help getting their home. They want to buy a home more than anything. So as you can see, we need to understand from where the borrower is coming, understand what's unique about their situation. And it could be as simple as, yeah, it's cookie cutter. They're just like the person next door in their neighborhood. But what's unique is how they're feeling it, how they're understanding it, how they're experiencing your company and how your company's interacting with them. And then sell the outcome. And what I mean by that, and it sounds kind of a little bit, salesy, but sometimes you get focused on the product, the mortgage, or the piece of the pie that Brad mentioned earlier that we're focused on in terms of our little niches across the mortgage value chain. But sell the outcome. What is the outcome? The outcome's the home. That's what we should focus on. And as we focus on those items, we change the nature of the digital customer experience.
Yeah, Matt, I think one of the key points there is, as we really talk about it. So Matt and I live on opposite coasts. Matt lives on the East Coast, I live on the West Coast. We both have different home buying journeys than someone who lives in Nashville or someone who lives in Austin. And so it is not a national thing, this home buying. It's a very geo-specific thing. Your neighborhood, your neighbors, essentially your school system, whatever you're looking for when you look at buying a home, it's different for everyone. So when we as a lending industry try to kind of cast a very wide net across it, it's really hard to do because every single little geo is different. And Matt and I mean, we're prime examples of it. East Coast, West Coast right here. So as we talk about it, every one of us believes in our heart that the path to home ownership should be easy. Everyone does. It is part of the true American dream, buying a home. There's stages to getting there. You rent, you buy, you find. Everyone has different stages of their life. But the path is holistically the same. You shop for a home, you buy a home, and you live in a home. So while that simplistic 3-level path is the same, how you shop for a home, whether you're shopping on OfferPad, Realtor, Zillow, Redfin, Keller Williams, is also different than how you buy a home, whether you're going to your local mortgage broker, you're doing it all online, you're going with Quicken, whomever you're going with. And then what you do when you own your home and you realize, God, I own this great home. Now there's a pandemic. We're not going to go on a family vacation, but I really want to spend the money on something. Let's upgrade the kitchen. That's what everyone's doing today, by the way. They're upgrading their homes. I assume everyone knows that, but staycations are now bathrooms and upgrades to kitchens. These are the different steps. So holistically, the home ownership journey, it should be easy. We all agree on that, but we know it's not. Now let's look at all the different pieces that fall under the stages of the home ownership journey. So home shopping, as we really look at it, and you drop down, you can look at all these things here. You've got the different tools. For me, I am addicted to my phone. I'm gonna do everything on my phone. I actually, right now, I'm in front of a computer and a Mac. I hate it. I'd rather be doing this whole thing in front of my phone. Why? I don't know. That's just me. But the digital shopping experience is for each individual person. And then fast forward, I've got friends that are actually younger than me, and they don't even want to use digital when they buy a home. They want to go straight to talk to someone. I don't understand why. They're different than I am, but that's fine. Everyone has their own way. So for many, it's digital home shopping. For others, it's finding the right real estate agent and then the right lender. How do you find that lender? Are you connected through the real estate agent? Do you go to an open marketplace? Do you actually shop for one on your own? We all have our different entry points in here. And so we really talk about this, going from shopping to finding a real estate agent and a lender, to getting approved for a loan, to realizing you got to get every document in the world to get this loan, going into closing. I hope your closing's not delayed. I once had a house that the closing was delayed 4 times. Brutal experience. And then you go into owning a home. The emotion of owning a home is amazing. And then you get in that home and you realize all the things you want to do to improve that home. Again, this is the emotional journey of home ownership that is really all borrower centric. So we, Tavant, we focus on many different aspects of the home ownership journey. But what we don't do is we don't pretend that we own the home ownership journey. We don't own the experience. None of us do. None of the companies here own it. I mean, we'd love to. That's how you technically make the most money. None of us do. The borrower, the home buyer, they own their own journey and they own their own experience. I mean, Matt, that's at least how I see it. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, there's just a couple. I mean, this is a very simple message today, but I think important if we learn how to apply it. Is first and foremost, a customer's experience is their experience. It's something that you can't force feed to someone. You can't force fit them. You can't take them hostage and make them feel a certain way. A customer will experience it as it is given and enabled to them. The kind of second takeaway is take the broad view. Understand that there is a value chain and different portions of this business platform that we call mortgage and mortgage industry at large. And while each of us as companies may have started in one point or the other, I think each of us as companies and as providers in the space are finding that the more connections we make, the more partnering we do, the more integrations we have, the easier it is to deliver a digital experience. And I would say lastly, digital is not a website. Digital is not a mobile app. Those are just aspects of digital. Digital is an experience. Digital is the way that our borrowers, and hopefully your borrowers also, can experience the work of getting a mortgage done and can experience the joy of achieving home ownership or closing that refi or finding a solution to a hard problem, or even discovering the negative outcome can teach them how to live differently so they can in 5 years get a positive outcome. Those are all potential possibilities of a customer experience, all of them valid and all of them true. So in closing, just remember that digital lending is all about your borrower's experience, and the borrower's experience is all about how they encounter what we have to give and have to offer. And as we can see, there's a few questions coming back and forth, and we look forward to engaging you more fully through the chat window.
Yeah, thank you all. It's been good. Sorry we ran a little short on time, but we'll make sure to answer all these questions. Thanks.
See ya.